All right, welcome here. I hope you're doing well today. So in this video, I want to show you this application we'll be working on to illustrate or to show you how to work with list. So essentially we'll be doing three things. We'll append an item to a list, we'll insert an item, and we'll also delete an item. So let me walk you through what we intend to build. This is going to be the final product. Well, maybe not the same way, but it's going to be, this is the template we're working with. So here we have this this interface. We have add to do, and you notice how that we have enter your to do item here, and this is a place for us to enter the to do item. And what we see, the text, the box we see here, depends on what choice we make here. So if I choose delete to do, notice now that I don't have that place to enter the item, right? But I have a place to enter what the item number is. Insert to do, however, has both boxes. So how do you toggle boxes? How do you hide boxes? How do you show boxes? We'll look at that in this video. Now, one part I want to show you again is this. So if we click on add to do and you try to submit without entering anything, you notice that we have a pop-up here, right? We have a message here that says, hey, please enter the item you wish to add. And let's go ahead and let's enter the item. So I'm choosing develop the to do application. And once I hit submit, now you see develop to do application. And let me choose set up a hosting plan again, submit. Let me add another to do item. Let's say read a book, and I hit submit again, and notice now that read a book is here. Now let's head over to delete item. Once I hit this delete item or delete to do, notice now that I don't have that box to enter the item, right? And so that's toggled because I've changed the option right here. But I need to enter in an item number. So this is the first item number, this is the second item number, and this is the third item number. However, if I try to hit the submit button without entering an item number, it tells me, please enter the item number of the item. And let's say I try to enter something that doesn't even exist here, right? There's no item number 6, as you could probably tell that the last item number we have is 3, right? And let me hit submit here. It says that item does not exist. Enter valid item number or add to do items. So what happens when we hit, so let's say we're done with developing the to do application. I enter 1 in this case, and I want to delete this first one right here. Notice, keep an eye on this part of the application. Once I hit the submit button, notice now that we don't have that develop to do application anymore. All right, let's move to insert to do. In insert to do, we need two things, right? We need the item number, or we need the place where we want to insert the item to, and we also need the item we want to insert. So let's say we want to insert an item here. The first, we want to insert this item in line 1. So I choose 1, and then let me say what I want to do is to trace codes, right? And I hit submit. Notice now that it's inserted right here on the first line. And I want you to observe the difference between add to do, right, and insert. When I come here and I say go to the gym, right, and I hit submit, I want you to keep an eye. It's going to come out after this read a book. So add to do appends an item or adds an item to the last line. So if I do that, you see go to the gym, right? All right, so what else can we explore here? In insert to do, if I try to hit submit, it tells me please enter the item you wish to add. And let's say I enter that item, maybe 4, even though it's not a valid item, but this is intentional. And let's say I didn't add anything to this part of the line. I try to hit the submit button. It says, hey, please enter the item number of the item you wish to add. And let's see, we can insert an item. Let's insert an item. If I try to insert an item to 5, which of course doesn't exist here, right? It tells me that, hey, oops, can't insert item. Please enter a number between 1 and 4. And what that means is that we can only insert item between any of these, right? So if we go ahead now and enter this item on the first line, I want that to be right here on the first line. And if I hit submit, notice now we have 4. And I want to delete that again. Come here and enter item number 1. I want to delete that item, and notice now that that's also gone. All right, the final thing I want to show you here is the clear to-dos. What the clear to-dos does is just to clear everything you have in this text box. And so when I hit the button clear to-do, notice now that all the items are clear. All right, so this is what we'll build. This is the application we intend to work on. And now that you know what the application is, why not let's head over to the first part. And this video is going to be in 2 parts. The first part is going to be the design phase, where we try to mimic, or we try to build out this interface. And the second part would be the coding aspect. So let's head over to code.org. By the way, we're using App Lab. So I'm here on code.org. I will go to the menu bar here. I'll choose my project, and I'll scroll down. What I want is the App Lab. The App Lab, and I'm here. So what's the first thing that we have to do based on this application? You notice this is what the application looks like, right? There's something here, right? Because we know there's something here. When we hit this button submit, we see an element here. So we know there's an element here. It's just that it's somehow not, we don't know much about it. One other thing I forgot to show you is this. So if you have a message here, once you start typing, that message gets cleared from that place. And if you've not typed anything here, the prompt still remains. And once I type something again, notice now that that part is clear. So I forgot to show you that part of the application. All right. So the first things first, let's rename this application, and let's call this to-do project application. Not the best of names, right? But let's just call it that. All right. First things first, let's change the name of this screen. And we have to go to design. This is where we'll spend most of the time on this first part of the video. So I'm going to change the name of this screen, and let's just call that to-do screen. All right. So now we'll go ahead and change the theme. So go to theme. And in case you're wondering, go to theme. Of course, don't forget to toggle the design tab, go to theme, and let's look for that theme. I'm not sure which one it is, but I think it's similar to this one. All right, so now we have this set. And like I said, notice that we have this element here. So let's get that there first. That should be a label box. So let's look for label here. We're done with this part. We're done with the theme. Now let's look for the label. We have the label here where you see ABC. Drag that over to this part, and let's expand it a little bit. Now to expand, you want to look for this arrow right here, and you drag down. I hope you can see this screen. Maybe I should zoom in a bit. All right, so for now, we won't do anything with this. We'll just leave it as is, and we'll keep building this application. But let's go ahead and change this element. We want to change the property here, the ID property. We want to change that to error message label. Now notice how that I'm using camel case, right? Lowercase e, uppercase m, and uppercase l. Right? That's how you want to name it. It's not a rule. It's just a convention. So even if you don't name your application like this and you still code it up properly, it's going to work. But just following conventions, this would be a way you want to name all your elements. All right, let's get back here again. So we know we also have this element here, and that's also a label. So let's add another label. Now to add another label real quick, we can just click on this one that already exists and let's duplicate. And I'm going to drag that down. Eventually we'll size this application and work with everything, make sure everything works correctly. And let's call this LBL item. And that just means label item. And why not just go ahead and let's type that text out. What do you want to do? All right, that's the text we saw there. And let's see if we can also change the font size to probably 16. Okay, that's too much. All right, let's stop here. What do you want to do? Cool. So now that we are done with that part, let's head over to the next part and let's see what we have next. The next thing we have is add to do. And notice that that's a drop down. So let's head back to this place and let's add a drop down. So drop it there, and we have to make this a little bit small because we have another box right here. So look at this part. We have this box right here, right? So we need to add that box as well. So, but before we do that, let's change this element. Let's change the name of this element, the property. For the property here, we want to choose, we want to make this task drop down, right? And the first thing we see here, so the first thing we see is add to do, delete to do, and insert to do. So let's go here and let's do the same thing here. Add to do. For option 2, we want to have delete to do. And for the last one, we have insert to do. And we're done with that part of our work. Let's see, is there any other thing we want to do here? Probably not. Maybe just to increase the font size a little bit. And now we've added more than we can go. All right. So the next thing we want to add is a text box, a text input right here. And that just helps us to accept that input number or the item number. Eventually, we might have to still reduce this box here, the drop down. But for now, let's just keep going and let's see if we can manage the space. We'll change the property of that text input. Let's change the property of that to do index input. And in the placeholder, we want to say item number what? Item number what? Right? And let's increase the font size just a little bit. And let's bump that up. Let's see if we put, all right, I think that's much better. All right, we're trying to manage space here and at the same time make our interface look a little bit, at least fairly decent. Let's get back here again. We have this huge text box as well. So let's add that to it. We already have a text box here, so we can just duplicate that one right there. And we drag it down here. And let's expand it. And what do we want to add to it? Maybe we don't even need as big as this, but yeah, maybe this works just fine. What's the entire to-do item here? So that goes into the placeholder. So enter your to-do item here. All right, so let's see what the next thing is. Here in the application, again, we have the submit button and we have the clear to-dos. Let's go ahead and create those. But before we go, let's change the ID of this element, the property. Let's change that to do text input. The next thing we want to do is to add a button. So we'll go ahead and add this button to it, and we'll call this button submit. So let's just drag it a little bit, and we'll change the text of that button to submit. And here we want to call this button submit. All right, now that we have that set, let's go ahead and just duplicate that one, and let's drag it here. Maybe expand this a little bit and bring this down here a little bit. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close to what we're looking at. This a little bit. All right. So now, looks to me like this is bigger than this. This looks bigger than this one. Let's confirm that. So for this one, the width is 135, the height is 40. For this one, the width is 150. So let's change that to 135. And the height of that one is 40. So let's change that to 40 as well. All right. So now I think they look similar. So I'm just going to drag this down here. So let's change these. We already have button submit, and let's change this to clear to-dos right here. So clear to-dos. For that, we want to call this name button clear to-dos. The next thing we add to it is this text, this label here that indicates what the to-do items are. So we already have labels on this page. So I'm just going to hit this one and duplicate that. And I'll drag it down here. And let's change the text to to-do items. To-do items. And for the label, let's just call this to-do label. Not really necessary. We're not really doing anything too serious with that one. The last thing we want to add here is and I forgot, we've not worked on this one. We've not completely worked on this one. If you look at this, this is red, right? So let's change that to red as well. To change that to red, we want to look for the background color, and hopefully I get the shade of red, but if I don't, well, we just go with one. Maybe this close to it. I think this is close to it, right? Yeah. So let's stick with this. All right. So I think we're almost done with the design, and we've named our elements. I'll confirm once I'm done with the last thing. For the last part, we'll insert a label, and let's just drag that element right here. And we'll drag that element here. So we have a label box to work with. All right. And finally, we want to also change the property of that label. So for that, we'll change this to output label. And for the text, we don't want to have anything there, so we'll just get rid of that. All right, so now let's work on these. We have to change the color of the text in that label, the first label, to yellow, right? So let's go ahead and do that. We click on this first text box. Let's change not the background color this time around. We're changing the text color right here. From white, we want to look for yellow. And I think probably, let me see if I can get that shade of yellow, hopefully. Let's see, not this one, definitely not. I think this is a little bit close to it. All right, maybe we should just stick with this. One more thing we'll do here. Let's increase the font size a little bit to probably 15, and let's see what we have here. Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. Not perfectly similar, but yeah, it's similar. So now you notice that on this app, we can't really tell, the background isn't really showing, right? The background of this isn't showing that it's showing anything. So the way we'll do that is to look for what color this background is. That's the background of the screen itself. And we can just copy this color. So what I did was just to click on the screen. On the screen, anywhere outside any of these elements that we've created so far. So you want to make sure you're not clicking on any element, right? So don't click on any element. Just look for anywhere outside any of the elements. So this is an outside space. This is an outside area. I'll just click on that. And just make sure you see that this is to do screen if you're following this tutorial. I'll copy that and I'll head back to this label and I'll change that background color to what I just copied now. I'll paste that there and I'll hit enter. And now notice that the background now blends with the screen background. But you notice that we still have this border line, right? That border line comes from a property called border width. So we want to change the border width and make that 0. And now you can see that we can't really tell now if there's anything here. And of course, eventually we'll get rid of this, right? So that when we run this application, as you can tell now, we can't really see anything here. And if we go back here, let's say we clear to dos or we say add to do, and we do this, notice now that we can't see anything here. All right, so we're done with this part, and I think that's pretty okay. Let's head over to the next one. So for the next one as well, notice that the background also blends with the screen. So let's go ahead and do the same thing as well. I'm just going to copy the screen background. Just navigate to the screen. If you don't know how to do that, just click on anywhere outside any of these elements, right? Just anywhere outside any of the elements. Make sure you're not clicking on an element. Make sure you click on any area outside any element. That would give you the screen. And just look for the background color and copy that, copy the value there, and head back to this what do you want to do label. That's the LBA item. And we'll change the background color. We'll change that to what we just copied now. I pasted that there and enter. And now you can see, but we still have this border line as well. So let's go ahead and change that as well. We want to make sure that the border line is set to nothing. And that we get from that element, or the property to change that is the border width right here. So the border width is 0. So now if you look at this place, you notice that we don't have any border there. All right, so let's go ahead and run this application just for a moment, just to give you a feel of what that looks like at the moment. So you see add to do, delete to do, insert to do. I think we're almost there, right? So let's reset again. Okay, so let's head over to what else do we have to do? Let's look at the app we're working on. this one right here. We're done with this. We're done with this. Nothing to do there. But notice that we have this darker background for the elements, for the to do items output. Let's do the same thing here. And I think for that one, we can also use the background color of this text box right here. And I clicked on this text box, just so you know. I clicked on this entire to do item here. That's this element to do text input. Click on that and then scroll all the way to the background color. Copy that element and then head over to this output here, which we called output label. So you want to look for the output label box, or the label, output label, all right? And change the background color to that one that I just pasted that there. And I think that's it. That's about it. So one more thing, I believe, is this to do items as well. So notice that the background is also not there. So let's also change that as well. And I think we can actually move this a little bit more up and drag this a little bit down, just to give us kind of the same kind of feel. So again, I'm just going to click somewhere outside and copy the background color. I'm going to click this element to do items, to do label, and scroll all the way to background color, and I'm going to paste that there. And obviously, we still have to change the border width as well. So the border width, we want to make that 0. And I think we're done. So this is pretty much it for the design phase. So let's go ahead and run this application and let's see how that feels like. So we have this add to do. We can delete to do. We can insert to do, right? We've not done anything just yet. And we'll take a look at that in the next video. Probably let me just shift this a little bit so that we can at least see, since we still have a little bit of space here, right? So let's just quickly edit that. We want to move this in a bit, but not to the point that we can't see that question mark. We still want to see the question mark, and let's just move this a bit, just a bit. And these just a bit. All right, and let's run this application again and delete to do. I think this is probably fairer than what we had before. So this is the interface, and we're done with the interface. And in the next video, we'll bring this to life and we'll code everything we need to code and ensure that everything works just the way we want it to work. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.